Hi FACS Essentials, I've missed having you in class the past 2 days, but I'm hoping I can do my normal measuring demo for you from home in my own kitchen. So we are going to jump right in. I'm going to try to keep this to 15 minutes or less. In the meantime, I need you to do 2 things. You need to be taking notes while I go over each ingredient. Write down any tips or techniques that I share with you because a lot of ingredients need to be measured differently. In your notes, if I ask you any question, be sure to go ahead and answer that in your notes as well, okay? They're kind of just like thinking questions. Lastly, I need you to make sure that you watch till the end of the video because I might give you some special instructions on what to include in your daily work, and I want to make sure that you are following along through the whole video. Alright, this is a really important skill that you know how to measure before you start cooking, hopefully when we get to do our labs in a month or so back at school. Alright, we're going to jump right in with flour. We're going to do our dry ingredients first. Something important to know about flour is that in my canister here, I have my flour. So you have to fluff it up first, okay? You gotta incorporate some air and break up those big, dense chunks of your flour to get a proper measurement, okay? Once it's nice and fluffed up, then you can take your dry measuring cup, scoop it in, and get a heaping amount of flour. See that? Big pile, okay? This is not an accurate half cup measurement. This is way too much. So in order to get that accurate, you're going to take a butter knife, take the flat edge parallel to the edge of the dry measuring cup, and you're going to scrape off any excess flour back into the original container or over a surface that can be cleaned up. Never scrape off your extra directly into your mixing bowl because that will mean that your measurement amount is not correct. So once you have this nice flat edge and it's even, we know it's exactly half a cup, okay? We're going to put it into our mixing bowl. Now, here's a question you have to answer. What do you think would have happened if I were to scoop up this flour and shake it, level it out, and pack it in with my hands? What would be the issues if you did that? Be sure to answer that in your notes. Okay, we're going to move on to white sugar, okay? Now, the type of sugar that I'm going to measure right now is probably what you're most familiar with, okay? It's just normal white granulated sugar. There's another type of white sugar called confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar, but we're not going to measure that today. If you did have to measure powdered sugar, you would measure that the same way you would flour because it has the same consistency as flour. So for granulated sugar, you are going to use the same technique, except for you don't have to fluff up the granulated sugar. Just take your measuring cup, get a heaping scoop, and then take the flat edge of your knife against your dry measuring cup and scrape off the extra. Here's another question for you. Why is it important that I use the flat edge of my knife like this against my measuring cup instead of this edge? Or why can't I just go like this? Okay, why is it important that I have to use the flat edge of my butter knife? Be sure to answer that in your notes. And once you have this nice flat even amount, you can add your sugar to your mixing bowl. Next, I want to measure brown sugar. Brown sugar is way different than white sugar, and it has a different technique. For brown sugar, you'll want to take a spoon and pack it into your dry measuring cup. This is about one of the only dry ingredients that you have to pack in because we want no air bubbles, no pockets. In order to get a true measurement of brown sugar, it needs to be firmly packed, okay? So notice how I even have a little bit excess and extra kind of overflowing over my measuring cup. That's an okay thing because guess what? You bet we're going to take this flat edge of my butter knife against here Just scrape off the extra. I'm going to make sure my camera is still working. Bear with me. My screensaver turns on every 5 minutes. So if you missed it, I just scraped off the excess of my brown sugar, and here's how you know that you've measured it correctly. So I want you to think about making a sandcastle, because brown sugar kind of has the consistency as wet sand. So essentially, you know that you've measured your brown sugar correctly and firmly packed if you can flip your dry measuring cup over, and your brown sugar will hold its form in the bowl like that, okay? So if you have some brown sugar at home, definitely practice that and take a picture and add it into your daily work for me if you are able to do so. All right, I have a couple things left. I want to show you baking powder, baking soda, vanilla, and butter today. So baking powder and baking soda are something called leavening agents. And this is what makes pastries and cookies and muffins and pancakes light and fluffy. So how you measure this properly is you always have like a teaspoon amount. And for baking soda, you just scoop, and you're actually going to use the flat edge of this box right here to act as your scraper. And you scrape off the excess. Make sure you don't scrape off the excess into your mixing bowl, okay? And that's what you should have when you're done. Baking powder is the same way. I think baking powder is even easier because it comes in a metal container like this that has a nice flat edge right here. Just get a nice heaping scoop full of baking powder and scrape off the excess with that flat edge included in the can. It's really important that you get your measurements accurate with baking powder and baking soda because it really can affect the taste of your baked item. Another thing I want to bring to your attention at this time is the difference between a teaspoon and a tablespoon. Tablespoon's bigger. Its abbreviation when you're reading a recipe is a capital T, BSP. Teaspoons are littler. This one's actually a fourth of a teaspoon. And the abbreviation for this is lowercase t, sp. It's really important that you know that difference, and hopefully you saw that from my notes from a few days ago. Okay, next I want to show you butter. Butter is so easy to measure. All you have to do is find the label, and it tells you exactly how many tablespoons you need to cut, okay? So one important thing to know is that 1 stick of butter equals half a cup. All right, and that tells you that on the very, very edge right here. Okay, so if you need 5 tablespoons, you just count the notches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you cut on that line with a butter knife. Okay? Next, I want to move on to vanilla. So vanilla is a liquid. However, we're not going to put it into a giant liquid measuring cup because you usually only need vanilla for a small amount, such as like a teaspoon, maybe a tablespoon at most. So this is one exception to a liquid that you will put into a measuring spoon instead of a big measuring cup. The only thing to keep in mind when measuring vanilla is just, again, make sure you're not measuring this over your mixing bowl because you're probably going to spill a little bit, okay? It's a good idea to have your mixing bowl close by. But use this little dropper to get just enough vanilla to where it's over the top, okay? Keep your mixing bowl close to avoid as much spills as possible. It'll keep your measurement accurate, and then you can pour it in here. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that. I don't know where to put this. Right there. All right, lastly, we are going to measure water, okay? This would be the same technique that you would use for any liquid, whether it's oil, milk, water, they're all measured the same, okay? And your first step is going to put your liquid measuring cup on a flat surface, okay? Let's say that I need half a cup, all right? The important thing to do will be to get at eye level of your liquid measuring cup, okay? And as you pour, you want to make sure that your liquid line is at eye level, okay? So I see I'm exactly at half a cup right here, all right? And the importance is From this angle, when I'm standing up and my measuring cup is on my table, it looks like I have way more than half a cup. But when I get down at eye level, I can see that I'm right at half a cup, okay? It's really important that that is accurate. All right, I have one more question for you that you'll need to answer in your notes. Why is it important that I put my liquid measuring cup on a flat surface instead of trying to hold it right here and pour at the same time? Okay, so why is it important that I should be pouring and getting at eye level with my measuring cup on a flat surface? All right, guys, I did that quicker than I ever have before. Let me know if you have any questions. And I want to give you one final addition to your assignment. Okay, I want to have some fun while we're on these NTI days. So if you watch this whole video and you're hearing me now, I want you to take a picture of you measuring any ingredient at home. It doesn't have to be an ingredient I showed you here, but any ingredient at home, I want you to just send me a picture of you measuring it, okay? So it should include you in it somehow measuring. So have some fun, snap a picture, upload it into your Google Doc for the day, and that'll be something fun for me to look for when I'm grading your assignments later. All right, well, I miss you guys. Be good, stay healthy, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.